Hello everyone. So I think this is a very important topic to discuss. How the narcissist is making you look bad and how you don't even see it. Because narcissists are very distasteful and repulsive. They display behaviors and traits that are deeply off-putting and alienated to other people. They're self-centered. They lack empathy. They manipulate and deceive people. They exploit people for their own personal gain, which may cause you to feel used, betrayed, and even distrustful. Because narcissists are very arrogant. In their minds, they think they're superior. And then sometimes they will play the victim. They will shift the blame even when they are at fault. They're very exploitative. They thrive in constant drama, creating chaos and conflict, which results in an inability to maintain genuine relationships. They're also very jealous. They may try to sabotage you. They are emotional vampires. They are a constant drain because they demand attention and validation while they are offering nothing in return. And of course, it is these very behaviors that just makes people want to distance themselves from them. And not only from them, but from anyone who is associated with them. Because how does it make us feel? It leaves us feeling manipulated, disrespected. We know that we're going to be exploited because they're takers. These types of people, they will use you for your time, energy, resources, emotional support, and they won't offer anything in return. There's also the fear of emotional harm, the damage to reputation, the loss of trust, the risk of being undermined. And it just causes so much stress. It's exhausting. So, at some point, it just begins to feel very repulsive. Because we feel the need that we should be preserving ourselves. Once we recognize that they are toxic influences who are likely to harm, exploit, or embarrass anyone connected to them. Of course, for many of us, we were associated with them. We have been associated with them. Not because we are like them, but because we're empathic. So we were emotionally invested. They manipulated and gaslighted us. They love-bombed us. They presented themselves as charming, loving partners or friends. And this created a strong emotional attachment, which made it difficult for us to recognize their true nature until later on. They also may have trauma bonded you. Or maybe you may have struggled with low self-esteem or self-doubt. Maybe your narcissist was particularly vengeful. You may have feared retaliation or rejection. Narcissists also use intermittent reinforcement. delivery of punishment or rewards at irregular intervals that is inconsistent. And this can create a dependency in you on their validation. Or you may just desire for change or hope. And they may give you lies, future faking, false apologies, making you believe that at some point they will change. Many narcissists also isolate their victims, which may make it difficult for you to get outside perspectives of the narcissist or to gain the emotional support that you need to have the strength to leave them. So it may cause you to feel alone and unsure of how you're supposed to leave. You may also be experiencing cognitive dissonance, two conflicting beliefs between what they displayed to you at the beginning and what you're seeing now. So although we're not like them, unfortunately, yes, we have been associated with these types of people. And because of that, we may experience guilt by association. Because simply just being connected to a narcissist can make other people assume that you share or condone their toxic behavior. Because they see that you're around them and you're enabling it. You're not removing yourself from the situation. Even though they may be engaging in unethical or manipulative actions. So other people may start to question your integrity or wonder why you're tolerating such behavior. So this can damage your own credibility. It can make you look bad. It can taint your reputation because the narcissist may be operating in underhanded or deceptive ways. So when you're linked to them, other people may assume that you're complicit in their shady dealings. This association can create doubts about your character, which may cause people to view you with suspicion or distrust, even though you're innocent. Because while we're with a narcissist, we are enablers. We are enabling their behavior. We're making it possible for it to continue by us remaining around them, making excuses for their behavior, overlooking it, or just by not setting boundaries, by not saying no. And other people see this. They look at us like we may be weak or foolish because we are enabling this bad behavior. They may believe that we are naive or indifferent to stand up to them, which may make us look passive or lacking in moral courage. So even though we may not be actively participating in the narcissist's underhanded actions, other people may perceive our association as an endorsement of their behavior, which of course can lead to us being seen as complicit in their wrongdoings, whether you agree with them or not. Narcissists bring chaos, conflict, and drama into our lives. This erratic and manipulative behavior creates a toxic environment that spills over into our reputations. Because we become associated with that drama, even though we're not the ones who are causing it. But it can make us appear unprofessional, unstable, or unreliable. Narcissists are also notorious for twisting the truth and creating false narratives. So by us being connected to them, there's a risk that their lies or distortions will be linked to us as well. it creates a lot of confusion, and it may cause other people to question your honesty and integrity. And as well as the guilt by association, narcissists often like to alienate people through the use of manipulation or slander. So if other people see that you are closely tied to the narcissist, they may distance themselves from you so that they can avoid getting dragged into their toxic web. And this social isolation can make you seem like an outcast or as someone who tolerates negative influences. It decreases your credibility. The more that you're seen around with them or associated with them, the more that other people may assume that you share their negative traits, such as the arrogance, manipulation, or dishonesty. And this can lead to a loss of respect and trust from other people. It can affect your professional and personal relationships. It contaminates you by association because they operate with a sense of entitlement, a lack of accountability, and a disregard for other people's well-being. So when people see that you are linked to them, they may assume that you are cut from the same cloth, even though your values may be completely different. Despite that, it can still erode your reputation and integrity in the eyes of other people. It can create a negative social perception because the narcissist's behavior is so extreme. It's very difficult for anyone to ignore. So even people who aren't directly involved may hear about it or witness their bad actions. And so then by you being associated with them, it can make you seem tainted by proximity, as though you're a part of this toxic environment that they create. They just bring a very chaotic, emotionally draining energy wherever they go. So when you're around them or connected to them, it means that you're going to be exposed to their drama, manipulation, and self-centered behavior. And of course, there's still people in this world who do value peace, stability, honesty, and integrity. So they're going to want to avoid these associations to protect themselves from the narcissist's toxic influence. And of course, that may mean avoiding an association with you if you are connected to them, because they may have a fear of being targeted as well. They may fear that the narcissist will turn on them too, because narcissists manipulate and undermine people who are close to them. So when people are seeing you around someone like this, they may be worried that they could be targeted as well. They may view you as a liability or as someone who could inadvertently drag them into the narcissist's web of deceit. Because there's really just a lack of trust there. Narcissists are always lying, manipulating, betraying people. So if you're associated with them, people may question your trustworthiness or your ability to discern good from bad. Because of course, people are going to be wondering, why are you continuing to engage with someone whose behavior is so harmful or morally corrupt? It may make people suspicious about your character, making them less likely to want to be around you. It risks your social reputation. It makes people question your judgment. So people who value their reputation or social standing may avoid you. They may fear that by association, they could be dragged into the narcissist's web of manipulation and negative behavior. And also because they're an emotional drain, they're emotionally exhausting, you have to carry the burden of their toxicity. So people may fear getting pulled into that emotional turbulence that typically surrounds narcissists. Narcissists just naturally cause disruption to relationships. They cause rifts between people. They spread lies, they stir up conflict. And so other people may be concerned that they will be caught in a similar conflict, or that your relationship will become strained due to the narcissist's influence, which makes them less inclined to engage with you socially. But it's interesting because, there has been some recent high-profile cases that many of you may be aware of, such as there was Jeffrey Epstein a few years ago, and also very recently, P. Diddy. And many of you may have noticed that there was a big difference in how people reacted to these high-profile narcissists compared with how people might react to low-class narcissists. And this is due to a combination of societal values, power dynamics, and the nature of public exposure. So high-profile narcissists like P. Diddy or Epstein, in some ways they can get away with it because they have perceived power and influence. So people may initially overlook or tolerate their toxic behavior because of the benefits of getting to associate with such powerful individuals. They may fear losing access or opportunities. There's also a normalization of elite misconduct, selective blindness. Then there's the possibility of exposure and the fear of consequences, social pressure and accountability. But of course, when we're talking about P. Diddy or Epstein, these are seen as larger than life characters, and their behavior was masked by their public persona. So it took a long time for the full extent of their behavior to come to light. And that's why until they were exposed, people excused or downplayed their actions because they were blinded by their public image, wealth, or influence. So there's definitely a double standard based on class and status. Society does overlook and forgive the actions of the wealthy and powerful, while ordinary individuals, those who are low class, are more easily ostracized or disdained. But I would say that many of the people who remained associated with high-profile narcissists like Epstein or Diddy, they were motivated by their own narcissistic traits or by self-serving, power-driven desires. They prioritized money, status, and power over morality and fairness, which is a common characteristic of narcissists, because they value power and status above everything else. They have a lack of empathy and moral compass. They chose self-interest over ethics because they're entitled and self-justified. They're blinded by the allure of success, so they chose to enable narcissistic behavior. Although some of them may have experienced cognitive dissonance or rationalization. But yeah, it's because of the power and the status. That's how so many people overlooked it and still remained associated with them. Because they're very unique and powerful individuals. And there's a lot of benefits from being involved with them. But of course, you know, the people in those cases who remained associated with Diddy and Epstein, that's very different to what we experience with the narcissist. Because many of us may have had a lack of choice or alternatives. We may have hoped for change. We may have been emotionally invested, rather than it being about our own self-interest. We may have faced moral struggles. And also, because we stayed, it came at a heavy emotional cost, which led to feelings of confusion, low self-worth, and trauma. So it began to affect our self-esteem and our mental well-being, which then made it very difficult for us to leave. Narcissists thrive on power and control, so by staying with us, staying with them, we felt disempowered. We were under their control. We were just trying to cope, survive, and navigate difficult circumstances while hoping for a better outcome. While narcissists and those who stay for self-serving reasons, they're doing it with a mindset of exploitation and control. So their behavior is far more calculated and self-centered. We were caught in the web of narcissism. We weren't thinking about seeking power or status. We were just trying to survive, and we were hoping for something better, even when we felt trapped or unsure. So that's the difference. Just take a sip of my water. But unfortunately, just as the people who are associated with Diddy or Epstein, just as they were tarnished by their connections once the truth came out, narcissists can have a similar damaging effect on our reputation as well. Even though we may not have been actively involved in their toxic behaviors, or we didn't condone their actions, just that association with them can harm our reputation because of the guilt by association, the toxic reputation by proxy, damaging stereotypes and assumptions, perception of weakness or complicity, loss of trust and credibility, fear of being drawn into drama, social exclusion, emotional contamination. So all of these things, when people are seeing these things, hearing these things, thinking that we are involved, associated with them, it doesn't make us look good. Because these are not people that anyone wants to be associated with. We didn't know at the beginning because they gave us this facade. They made us believe that they were something else. So we fell for the illusion. we believe that maybe it was real. And then we may have begun to look bad at other people. And we may have looked bad because of the association, or perhaps because the narcissist made people believe that it was our fault and that we were like that. But this is what it can do. They can make you look bad and you won't even see it, because if they've manipulated you, they've put you under a spell, they've put you in a trance. So you're not thinking that way. You're not seeing them as they actually are. You're still seeing the fantasy, the idealized self. Other people may be seeing what's actually there. They may be seeing someone who's no good for you. And they may also be seeing you as someone who's no good for them, if you're continuing to associate with the narcissist. Because of course, I mean, these people are not good for anyone. They're self-centered, they have a lack of empathy. They're manipulative and deceptive, arrogant, exploitative. They engage in constant drama, jealousy, sabotage. They're emotional vampires. And this is why many people distance themselves from them. But we were unaware. And people see these things and it doesn't look good on us. It makes us look bad just by being around them. And I'm sure that many narcissists know this. They can see the effect that it's having on the people around you. And this is why many of them will keep tabs on you and reappear in your life. Because they thrive on maintaining control, manipulation, and having the power to influence how people perceive not only you, but also the people around you as well. And also how they perceive themselves. The narcissist wants to reinforce their narrative, what's important to them, which of course is always self-serving. It's always all about themselves, and it's often very distasteful, offensive, repulsive. It's disgusting. But that's the narrative that they want to reinforce. And it makes it very difficult for us to distance ourselves from their damage, because they thrive on drama and confusion. Because of course, if everything is clear and understood, then it's just them who looks bad. And we can then cut ties with them. So they create chaos to disorient you and others around you. And this is always a clear sign to look for whenever you're dealing with someone. Are they chaotic? Is there a lot of drama and confusion? Are there things that are difficult to understand? Or are they constantly putting you down, or just not even acknowledging your worth? These are all signs to look for. It reveals to you how much of a scumbag you're dealing with, how rotten they are. Because someone who is really rotten is going to be manipulative, deceptive. They're going to be gaslighting you, trying to get you to think differently about them, to see them as better than what they are. They're going to downplay your worth or just not acknowledge it. So they're not going to compliment you. They're not going to give you any credit, but then they're going to want you to put them on a pedestal and idealize them. That's how you know that you're dealing with a rotten scumbag. That's pretty much what gives it away. And that's why they will also create drama and confusion once you start to catch on to them, to disorient you. And then they will play the victim to confuse others around you. But regardless of what other people may think about whether it's you who was the problem or if it was the narcissist, they're going to see that you're still entangled in their toxic web. And this will undermine your new relationships. And even if it doesn't, the narcissist may just show up to sabotage or cast out on them. Because of course, when someone like this is coming back, reappearing in your life, it makes people question your ability to choose healthy partners or friends. It damages your reputation by association. Because it's like, you've got someone around you, you've got someone near you who is involved in all of these degrading and demoralizing things. They're very manipulative, deceptive, self-centered, lacking empathy, dangerous, harmful, toxic. They may cheat, lie, steal. They may be involved in underhanded tactics, or they may just be doing things that are vile, disgusting. And once people pick up on this, once they're aware of it, and they see that you're associated with them, they may be thinking in their minds that you are associated with that. Or they may just think that you're not strong enough or aware enough to leave. And then it starts to look bad on you. It makes you look just as bad as them in other people's eyes. But of course, it makes the narcissist look and feel good. It makes them look better by being around you. They look much worse on their own, but once they're around you, then they look better in front of other people. Because they're around someone who's successful, attractive, funny, charismatic. They're around someone with good qualities. So getting you to give them a chance, to take them in, to believe in them, it makes them look better to other people. It doesn't make them look worse by being around you. Because many of you are relatively healthy people. You're not doing the types of things that they do. So the narcissist is essentially in the mud, so they're trying to pull you into it. They're trying to share some of the mud with you so that they look a bit cleaner. But then it makes you look dirty in the eyes of other people. But for the narcissist, it's really an ego trip for them. Getting close to you, being associated with you, it feeds their ego. It tells them that they still have the ability to affect you emotionally or mentally. But of course, by them resurfacing, they are then reminding you and other people that you are still in their orbit. It makes them feel important. And it ensures them that you're not completely free of their narrative. Which of course is good for them. This is why they do it. This is why they come back. This is why they reappear. It's because it is good for them. Being around you, being as close to you as possible, it makes them look good. That's why they're always around you. That's why they're always keeping tabs on you. Because it looks good for them. As an example, let's say we have a criminal, a thief, someone who steals from shops or maybe burgles people's homes. Of course, that type of person is not going to have a good reputation. They're not going to look good to other people. Most people, they're not going to want to be involved with a thief. I know I wouldn't. I can tell you that I've never been involved with any criminals in my entire life. I always just stay as far away from those types of people as I can. However, what I will say is that I'm not proud of it, but it's kind of funny. But it's kind of stupid too. But when I was about maybe 14 years old, me and a friend of mine, we did a little trick in the supermarket. And so we did something where we both went to the cashier, you know, to pay for the things we were buying. And then before we did it, we then said to each other, all right, you stand next to me with, you know, what you want to get, and I'll just pay for my stuff, and I'll just act oblivious to you being there. And then we walked out then with a can of Red Bull that we didn't pay for. Even though, you know, it's not about, it wasn't about the money or anything. It was just, I don't know, we were just teenagers. It was just like a thrill or something. But yeah, that's just what we were like as teenagers. Sometimes we did do some pretty foolish things. And, you know, for a teenager, that's not really a big deal. Yes, we do stupid things. But, you know, I definitely learned from that. I know now that it's wrong, of course. You should never steal. But that's just kind of something stupid that I did when I was much younger. And also at the time, I was living in a 6-bedroom house just down the road from that shop with my father. But it was kind of just like the thrill. I don't know why, but at that age, we were like thrill-seeking. But I'm glad that I grew out of that behavior. But yeah, anyway, I would never associate myself with a thief. You know, someone who is actively going around stealing. A criminal. Not talking about someone who, you know, maybe if it was like a long time ago, and, you know, since then they've been punished and they've been reformed, you know, they've been held accountable. They understand, they accept their wrongdoing, and they've moved past it. Of course, I'm not talking about that. Unless, of course, if it's something extreme. If it's something where it's like some, it's like some really big scam, like a huge scam. Then of course in that type of thing, regardless of if they've been held accountable, I mean, because typically the more extreme it is, the less likely that they're ever going to change. The less likely that there's ever going to be any exception to who they will do it to, if they're doing something that extreme. But yeah, usually, I mean, you know, I've never associated with any criminals. But if it was someone who did something a long time ago and they've changed, then, you know, I believe everyone deserves a second chance. And of course, you know, most people, we don't know what they were doing several years ago. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, imagine a criminal, someone who is actively stealing from a shop or burgling people's homes. And people are starting to catch on to this. They're becoming aware of it, what this person is doing. So they look bad. They've got a bad reputation now. That person starts to look much better. Let's say if it's a man, if they start dating a woman who is more high status, a woman who is more successful and has her life together, he starts to look much better then. He may start to look like he has it together himself. And it's the same thing with the narcissist and you. They start to look much better when they're around you because they're very dysfunctional, toxic, chaotic, dramatic. And of course, that's why they get around you. That's why they want to be near you. That's the whole point. They start to look better by association. But that's the thing, and this is what you need to be aware of, is that when someone is getting around you and it's really a big come up for them, it's really making them look that much better. It's making you look that much worse. It's making you look really bad. Because while, as an example, with a thief who meets a successful woman who has her life together, it looks much better for him. It makes him look more credible, more trustworthy. But how does it make her look for taking that type of man in? It makes her look like something is wrong with her. Like she's going through something. Because if she's such a good person, then why would she pick that type of guy? And this is how it looks when we are associated with narcissists. It makes us look bad. But it makes them look good. And this is how typically, by being involved with them, they damage our reputation. We looked better before we got involved with them. They looked worse. We look worse after being involved with them. They look better. And not only that, but you can see it in the emotions. How did you feel before being involved with them? Typically you feel better, you feel worse afterwards, after you've left or after they've left. You feel like you've been robbed of something. They feel much better. They feel much happier once they've got around you, and then they just go off wherever they're going. You're the one who's left feeling worse because it's a come up for them For you, it just brings you down because they're not on your level. They make you look bad and they make you feel bad. But the first step is having the awareness. The first step is recognizing your emotions, that you feel bad around this person. Recognizing that it's making you look bad to other people. And typically, if you're still connected to your self-image, rather than being caught up in their web of lies and deceit and in the manipulation, you're gonna feel like you look bad to yourself just by being around them. You're not gonna be feeling good about yourself at all. You're gonna feel like something just isn't quite right with you, something is off. And then hopefully you will make that connection and see it's because you're around them. Because nothing looks good around these types of people. Just like with designer clothes or luxury cars, there's plenty of criminals out there who have those things, drug dealers. They don't make those things look good. And they've actually, I would say that they've tarnished those brands' reputations. Just look at all of the brands like Versace, Dolce & Gabbana. These brands had a much better reputation before all of these types of people started using them. Now everything has been brought down. You know, there used to be a time when you'd think about Dolce & Gabbana, Giorgio Armani, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes. It used to be a time when people would think of these brands, we would associate them with high-profile individuals, high status, CEOs, business owners, doctors, people who actually brought value to society. Now, what's the connection you make when you think of Gucci, Rolls-Royce? Typically, it's going to be some gangster, rapper, a drug dealer. All of these brands have been destroyed. Because that's what narcissists do. People who are self-centered, exploitative, lacking empathy, who thrive on drama, chaos. These types of people just ruin everything. They cheapen everything that they're around. And they make it very unfair to the point where it's not even worth it. Because I have been wearing luxury designer brands for quite a long time now. And I've noticed the difference over the years. How the price has become much more expensive, but now the quality is much worse. Many of these brands, these designer clothes, the cars, everything, they're all made in China. They're not even made in the countries that they used to be, such as Italian brands, Dolce & Gabbana, Armani. They used to be made in Italy. Many of them are made in China, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam. In factories where workers are paid practically nothing. And yet it costs an absolute fortune to buy these things. And the quality is just so low. Because now the types of people who are buying them are absolute frauds. They're con artists, drug dealers, criminals. They don't care about the quality of it. They're not even thinking about the quality of the car or the clothing that they're wearing. It's all about the brand. It's all about what it signifies for the people. Does it make them look powerful, wealthy, high status? They only care about the brand name. And that's why you see these types of people, they're very flashy. It's like they want everyone to know what car they're driving. Or they're the types of people who wear those t-shirts with the massive logos on them. And they want everyone to see. Because it's all about displaying status to cover up that actually they're nothing, they're nobodies. They're not as great as they're making themselves out to be. And the reality is that many of these criminals, these drug dealers, these con artists, just imagine how many genuine, high-profile, high-status people they took down to get to where they are today. And that's what I think of when I see these types of people. And you know, maybe that's why these brands, they cheapen everything now. They don't even make the effort. They don't spend the money like they used to. There's no craftsmanship on the cars, the clothes. Because it's like, what's the point? Why not cheapen it? Why not make it low quality? It's for low quality people now. Because they're all just liars, they're all just con artists anyway. They're not going to appreciate it. They're not going to look beneath the surface of the clothes that they're wearing or the car that they're driving. They don't even do that with themselves. They don't even look beneath the surface of their own fake image. So they're not going to have that attention to detail to genuinely appreciate the craftsmanship of these items, which now is non-existent. Because many of you, if you have owned these cars over the years, or the designer clothes, you will have noticed the quality has dramatically worsened. It's nothing like what it used to be. And yet the price is now much more expensive. But this is what it's like. And you've got to think, I mean, if these types of people can make big brands, designers, like Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Bentley, Rolls Royce, if they can make these brands look bad, just imagine what they can do to you. If they can do that to billion-dollar companies. And this is why we have to be very careful. Be aware that just by being around them, just by being associated with them, it can affect our reputation. It can make people perceive us differently. And that's why I myself, I barely associate with anyone these days, because you never really know what they're up to. Typically when I go anywhere, I wear my shades, I have my earphones in. Someone tries to talk to me, I just put my hand up, look the other way. People may think that I'm arrogant. They may think that I'm full of myself, I'm narcissistic. I think I'm better than everyone. But you know, sometimes that's how you have to be. Because if you humble yourself, if you let people in, what's going to happen is then they're going to have a harmful effect on you. So it's better for people to think that you're arrogant or that you think you're better than them. As long as they just stay out of your life, as long as they don't ruin you. And honestly, that's the biggest mistake that I made in my life. You know, there was a time when I did have more of an attitude where I felt like I was better than other people. And that did keep a lot of bad people out of my life for a certain amount of time. And my life was relatively peaceful. But then what did I do? I started making excuses, exceptions. I started giving people chances. I humbled myself. I became more modest, more compassionate, understanding. And then what happened? Then I had all of these losers coming in and out of my life, who were also bringing other losers into my life as well. All sorts of lowlifes, like criminal con artists, scams, drug dealers, people that I never would have associated with myself. But this is what they do. They will bring these types of people into your life. And that's why you should never give them a chance. Let them think what they want to think. Let them say that you have a bitch face, or you're moody, you have a problem, you're too high and mighty, you think you're better than them. Let them think that. If that keeps them away from you, then great. Because you know what? Someone who truly understands you is going to look past that and think, why are you that way? Maybe it is to protect yourself from danger, from harm, and then they're gonna think to not be that type of person for you. Because honestly, that's just what a lot of these people are like. They will bring you down. Humbling yourself, being too modest. I mean, you know, in your attitude. You just got to cut them off straight away. And you don't have to be too moody about it or too angry if someone approaches you or advances on you. Maybe it can be best just to do it with a smile, but then still make sure that you walk away. Try to leave on good terms. That's the best way to distance yourself from them. Because otherwise it could bring more trouble to you if they see that you're leaving them in a bad mood or as though you're not happy. But I will admit, it's easier said than done. Because these types of people, they make me sick. They disgust, repulse me. It makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. It just makes me think, what's wrong with me that I attract these people? And then I realize, of course, it's because I'm too kind, I'm too compassionate for people. I give people chances, I'm accommodating. I'm too nice. Most people in this world wouldn't give them the time of day. And that's how you've got to think of it. That's how you've got to remind yourself, is that most people would never give them a chance. They would never let them in. Because they know the harm they're going to do. And yet people like us, we're so nice, and then look what happens to us. Many of us, we go through so many things, and it makes us look like we're the problem. When it's like, no, it's because of the people that we've been involved with. And that's the thing, if you were involved with a better person who wasn't that way, things would have been very different. And honestly, that's how I feel about myself, you know, when I've done so much self-reflection, accountability, and working on myself. When I look back throughout my life, I can see it that I was never really a problem or a bad person. I mean, yes, I did make some mistakes. I did do some stupid things, like taking a Red Bull out of the store without paying for it, and you know, that was when I was only 14, and I did feel guilty afterwards. So then I corrected it. I didn't do it again. So yeah, I've done some stupid things, but most of the time it was due to my association with other people who just blamed me. And if I wasn't involved with those people, it would have turned out differently. So it was usually the types of people that I was around. And these were typically people who didn't have a similar upbringing to me. They had a lot of problems. And that's what you will see, you know, these people have a lot of problems. They will bring problems in your life. They will bring problems in your life where you had no problems before. And they will find joy in that. It will make them feel better to bring these problems to you. Well, as for me, I would never feel good about bringing problems to anyone's life. But they don't even feel bad about it, because they just want to share their muck with you, so that they don't have to feel like they're alone in it. And that's just how it is, you know, when you have these losers after you, these stalkers, they just want to share their muck with you. They see you're so clean and they're rolling around in the dirt. They want to sling some mud on you. But yeah, I think this is why I spent most of my life alone. I tended to avoid most people, because this is what a lot of people are like. They will bring problems into your life. And it kind of sends a signal to other people. It's kind of like with, it's like with cockroaches. You know, you see one, that typically means that there's many more. And if you kill one of them, it sends out a signal and it attracts more of them. kind of like if you go down the wrong side of town and let's say you just bump into someone accidentally, that could bring more of them onto you. They could be a part of a gang or something, or a toxic, dysfunctional family, and then you've got them all in your life after you then. This is what it's like. You have trouble with one of them, then you have so many of them coming after you. And this is why you've got to be very careful around these people, even if they're just acquaintances, because you never know who they're connected with. And these people are miserable. They're miserable with each other. Now they're just looking for people to target, people to be around, people who they can cling on to. And don't let that be you. Avoid these losers at all costs. Just keep it short and sweet. They come near you, they approach you. You just keep it short and just say, sorry, I'm busy. I'm not interested. You don't have to lie, just say the truth. And be friendly about it. Just give a casual smile and just walk off. And then typically they will leave you alone. I know it's difficult sometimes because it is very repulsive, the things that they do, the way that they advance in you. It's especially once you're already deeply entrenched with them, it's hard to get them off. They like to enmesh themselves into every aspect of your life. They want to be a part of all of it so that you can never get them out. But yeah, I hope this video brought some comfort and support to you. And if you need more support on your healing journey, you're welcome to book with me. My website is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. If you're new here, subscribe, click all notifications to be notified when I go live again. I appreciate all of your donations, no matter how small. You can donate to my PayPal. It's paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And also you can follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video, and I will talk to you soon.